Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tracy Williams here to inspire hope with Tracy Williams Inspiring Hope. I have another fantastic guest with me this evening that I'm excited for you to hear about him and what he is doing in not only his family but in the community and what he plans to do in the future as well. His name is Gregory Smith. You want to give a shout out to the folks?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Shout out to all my peoples out there, everybody that's been supporting me. Thank you very much, family and friends and newcomers. Just thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
All right. And I love it that, you know what, it's not just our YouTube family, but he also has a YouTube family. You want to tell him a little bit about your YouTube channel or just give us the name of it? Because I love how, look, he's wearing this stuff, y'all. Get him.
Always, you gotta market yourself. You gotta let people know what you believe in. And my YouTube channel, as you can see, is Greg Space Smith Jr. 6. On this channel, you can find a lot of motivational, inspirational, and positive videos to just get our youth mainly. That's why I target our youth to just open their minds and just see just where they can be, where they can grow in life, and just giving them the reality of certain things that they go through. Like you gotta be able to believe. I got videos on believe and goal setting, just things like that of the nature. Even I just did a recent category of just different type of relationships that we have with people. So that's what my YouTube channel has been about so far, and that's why I continue to go and grow with it. I love it.
That's awesome. So you guys go check him out. Make sure that you subscribe, hit that little bell. So
That's
every
right.
time he uploads something there, boom, you can get what he's got
That's
going.
right.
And especially if you know youth, because they are definitely our future. And so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Mr. Gregory Smith. We met online, of course, in one of the same groups that we are in, podcasting. And so we all know that podcasting is a big deal right now. Especially if you're on the go, you can all. You know what? I like to think of my car as a place of learning, where I can pop in either somebody's podcast or something, whether it's an audio book or something where it could be like a space of automobile learning. So, Mr. Greg Smith, he is a father of five. One is on the way. One is actually due the last day of this year. So I
Last
thought,
day.
whoop, whoop. Won't it be significant though if the baby comes first day of the year, 2021, baby? Come on, you're gonna be making the news. So I think that's incredible. He seems to be a very uh, fine, upstanding young man. So for any people who think, we got a lot of black fathers out there that don't do nothing, then we also have some black fathers out here that take care of their responsibilities, and not just his natural biological kids, but other kids that he's mentoring. Even if it's from afar, and those that he takes care of that he's been knowing for pretty much all their life. Am I right?
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So I love that. And let me tell you a little bit about him. He loves hip hop music. He loves to spend time with his family and friends. And he focuses much of his time by giving back to the youth and encouraging to grow their minds. So I see him in a space of personal growth as a personal growth coach or something like that, mindset coach, right? Because it's all about the mindset. We can do anything that we actually really put our minds to and focus on it. So I'm a true believer in that. But let me talk to you a little bit about why we are here today. This is what attracted me to this young man. And I'm telling you what, when we talked for a little bit, and it was incredible. I was blown away by the stuff that he has done, and he's building up the resilience and how he did it. And I'm gonna let him tell his own story, but just to start off, you know what? Something that's really dear to my heart, we're going to talk about cancers. And a lot of you know, come on, YouTube family and my Facebook family know that I started a series not too long ago about Black health, because as Black people, we need to really begin to take care of our health and be more, intentional about it, be conscious about, what's going on, what we need to do, what we don't need to do, and what's affordable, what's not affordable, and how to prioritize those type of things. And so his story has much to do with life after cancer when it came to his family, losing so many people short amount of time. But he seems to be the one that is, like one of the pillars in the family that kind of keeps the family together. And a lot of time in the family, we call them big mamas, right? Or Uh, so big, we get used to the grandmas really doing what it takes to keep everybody together, keep communication going on, keep loving each other, keep taking care of one another, those type of things. But I love meeting this young man and the things that he has done. So give me a little bit about your story of how this whole thing started with one of the first people in your family that passed from cancer on down to like cancer survivors and all that.
Well, I would love to start off with like we were speaking before. When I was younger, I had an uncle. His name was it was my uncle Michael, and I met him. I had to be maybe like 5, 6 years old, and we shared a good time together. Um, he was somebody that was pretty influential in my life, even though we didn't see him often. But he came down and we spent time with him and we hung out. So he ended up moving, and then upon him moving, we didn't get back to him till years later. At this time, I was a young adult, and with him coming back was a joy in our life and my family life because he had been gone for so many years. Now, upon him being coming back, we found out that he developed cancer. Now, from that, we developed cancer. After enjoying him being with us, in the times we had to recognize reality. Reality was we had to take care of this and maintain it at the best of our ability and help him as along the way. So thankful enough that I was able to connect that with my uncle, but we also had to realize that we only had a year's time with him. So at that time, we had to put in as much time as we could with him, just to get him to understand. Like, even though you was gone, that's no longer here nor there. We're family. We together. We bring this back together, and we gonna continue to just grow with each other, learn, the differences of life. So I remember taking him to his doctor's appointments. I remember going with him to just hospitals, and he was a joyful person. He always laughed and joked and had a good time. And, nonetheless, I treated him just like he didn't have anything, which is like we should. We shouldn't treat
Right.
nobody different because they have any sickness or anything like that. I looked past what he had and looked at who he was as an individual. And that matters to me the most. Now, within that same year, I know this is gonna come as a shocker because it don't happen often. Within that same year time, I also had the birth of my third child. The same day of his passing was the same day of her birth. And I believe it was like a 5 minute time span. So here I am with the suffering of losing someone, but at the same time with the joy of bringing new life into this world. And I don't know if you realize you can't be mad and happy at the same time. One of the other's gonna take advantage of the other one. So I'm in a limbo, and I'm sharing this precious moment, but I'm also observing another moment that's also precious too because he's done his time here and he was called home. So I value that just as much as I value my daughter. And so now she's that beacon light that resembles us as a family, like what we lost, but also what we gained as a family. So not saying that we love her any more than we love any other kids or whatever. It's just she has a special identity within the family of who she was and how she came here. So that's that right there. Just one part of the whole situation of the whole scenario with my life and everything. But you know, if you don't mind, I can keep going with the story. Um, we come down to after that, my grandfather, which is his dad, also developed cancer. So is we come to realize at this point, this is something that's in our family. We got to recognize, like you said, as Black people, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to go to the doctors, get checked up. I know we're afraid of finding out, but be more afraid of not finding out and hurting yourself and everyone around you than finding out and just dealing with it at the time. But
Amen.
we um we found out that my grandfather had it, and it was another barrel that was coming around for us, and same sense, we dealing with them. I remember my grandfather going outside walking because they encouraged him to walk around the block every day. Eat healthier. That was another thing between him and my uncle. He had to eat healthier, as well as going to the doctor's appointments. And even though my grandfather was an older gentleman, even though he was going through, his cancer and him going to the doctor and treating it, he still kept his spirit. He still kept his motivation. He still was that same man who he was 5, 10 years before he even developed that same outgoing person always share the love. He made you feel like who he is who he always gonna be, and not to look at him as anything else. So we still share jokes. He still wanted to pick my sister up from school. You know, he didn't want to lose, I guess you could say, his identity because of what he had. But we still love him at the most. So for the second time in our family, yes, we did lose a precious moment, precious person in our life, but we also gained another life. Same day, same time, my little cousin was born. And so now we got two people in the family that was brought taken home, and then we got two additionals to the family that was brought home. You know, so now the family, you know, again, we're in the limbo of happy, sad. And then, you know, we all go through the time periods and our little suffering, and, you know, the moment is never going to be perfect for us when we lose someone. But how we handle it and deal with it, you know, is what's going to is what's going to help us progress and move forward. So, yes,
Exactly.
I love my little girl and I love my little cousin. So I see them as that shining star. Like, this is I'm embracing that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because we don't get that opportunity. I don't know if I should call it opportunity, but we don't get that where someone's taken out our life and then another life is brought in at the same time on the same day.
Right. And that's beautiful. I love that story. And this is just the beginning, you guys. So I can't even imagine, after the next part he's getting ready to share with you guys, that you were able to like be that rock still, But I love that, you looked at it and said God took one home, but He sent somebody else here, and then the same thing happened again. Took one away, He said, "Okay, yes, your time is up, but then I'm going to give you somebody else at the same time." So that's beautiful. But I want you to continue with your story.
So here we are. Like you said, there was two lives brought home. Now we come to around another year, which I want to make this. I want to also put this out there. November 3rd was the day that my grandfather passed, and that's the day that the baby was born. November 11th, which is coming up, was the day my uncle passed, and the day my daughter was born. Then we have my aunt, which is my grandfather's daughter, the sister of my uncle. We lost her, but she's beaten cancer, if I'm not mistaken, twice, breast cancer twice. So her spirit also never changed. She was still a strong individual. What was crazy is that we didn't recognize and find out about her having the cancer till I had got older in life. All those times, I could never see no difference or anything in my aunt, in the way her demeanor, her attitude. She's one of the aunts that just brought us together, that kept us together, and just hold us always, all the time. She held down her father, which is my grandfather, and she was still there for her brother. You know, so just the love that these people who we lost still shared amongst us is grateful. We're grateful for it, because a lot of us get down and we get out and we can't do this and we don't do that. And it's like, no, these people, not only did they recognize something that they was going through, but they also use what they have and the time that they have to continue to push positivity out there, to push forward, to just inspire others. Like, I can keep doing this. I can keep moving. You know, this don't make me, this don't justify anything around me. I justify my needs. So my aunt, yeah, we lost her and we love her to death. And we just had a good time, you know, when she was here. And we still have a good time even when she's not here. But we would love to have her here. And just being there for her. Her birthday is actually this month. So November is it's November 1st, as a matter of fact. It's her birthday. So we got two birthdays in November, three birthdays in November, and two, you know, brought home days in November. But my auntie Polly house was the house where we had all the gatherings, you know. We had the Thanksgiving times, we had the Christmas times, New Year's, you know, we shot fireworks, 4th of July, we shot fireworks. So to touch on that subject, before any of them had even I like to just say that I'm proud of my auntie for being a cancer survivor 2 times. This time it got her, but that fight has always been in my aunt ever since the day she probably found out from the very first time. Now, when I was younger, before any of these three people, I had found out that my youngest sister had actually had cancer, and she was relatively young at this time, and she also survived. And she had got like this little, like a little knot in her arm, and it broke my heart. It broke me down. I ain't gonna lie, just like anybody else, because at that point I'm in school, I'm studying my medical field, and we learning about cancer, and I'm getting more information about how this thing masterizes and how it generally just takes over the body untreated. So, being young and studying this, I would thought that I would have had a stronger mind to be able to want to accept it. But when it hits home, for like all us, when it hits home, it's differently from when you hear it from a story from somebody else around here over there. Now it's in the house. So yeah, I broke down, it hurted me. But my sister, she beat it. And I what I noticed from there all the way up to my aunt is that that fight within my family runs through all our bloodline, because we all stuck by each other's side. We all made sure that we treated each other equally and fairly, and we loved each other with the utmost respect. We treated each other like humans. So that itself, those are four members in my family. Mind you, I'm only 33. This started to happen when I was just not too long ago leaving. I was out of high school. Yeah, I was out of high school. So you talking about, and I had already had my first two children. So you talking about within a 10-year span of what has affected our family and the things that we took and the things that we dealt with. There was some suffrage, but at the end of the day, that suffrage turned into something else. So I know as many of us out there that's dealing with not just cancer, you got diabetes out there, we got other type of things out there. And just being more informed on what these things are and how they affect us can better help us prepare and manage our lives better. So, like I said, from my sister to my uncle to my aunt, just man, it was my grandfather. These are people that were young. My sister made it, and I thank God every day for that.
Amen.
My uncle, my grandfather, and my aunt, it was all still young. They wasn't, we like to think that only the older folks get it. And no, my grandfather was a younger man. He still had years to go. My uncle, he was young. My aunt, she was young. So with that being said, it made me step back and realize the significance of another human being in on this earth, and the time we need to start to put together and grow with each other, because we don't know when our day of calling is going to happen. So in the mix of time, while we're here as a family, as a cultural, as everything that whatever people consider their family, a tribe or what so have you, it's important to build relationships with each other, positive relationships, connect with each other, learn about each other, help one another, love and care for each other. In our Black community, I don't want to get off topic, but in our Black community, we suffer from a lot of diseases, but we never tend to try to implement on each other positivity. It's always a point the figure here, point the finger there, and I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying from what I've noticed and what I've seen is that there's usually animosity, jealousy, or envy amongst us. Things
Okay.
that
Let me
things.
ask you this.
Go
How
ahead.
did you get to the point where you began to build that resiliency, especially from when it hit your particular sister? I mean, that's like so really close. I mean, your grandfather, I know that was close to your auntie, your uncle, but like you said, when it gets in the house,
Yeah.
then, that's a whole nother story. So it's like, something does break you down. But even after the breaking down, there's something in that where you hit a place that there's nowhere else to go but up, right?
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. You have to dig deep down into yourself and realize that this isn't it. Like there's more to this. Yes, this is a time period that I'm gonna go through, but I'm gonna get through it. You know,
Right.
like I've heard, I'm pretty sure you guys already heard. We either entering a storm, coming out of a storm, or getting ready for one. You know, so when this touched home for me, it really made me regroup myself as an individual and start to, like I was telling you, appreciate the time that we have on this earth.
Mhm.
Because my sister is the youngest, and to also see that, like I said, we usually know that the older folks are usually ones that come with something, but now here and yet, we're talking about a youth, a child who hasn't yet been able to see their life in 10, 15 years down the line. So I'm looking at this point in time, are you telling me it's a possibility that I may lose my sister before she even can see her 21st birthday? You know, for her to be able to stay strong and for me to have that mindset, like, you know what, I'm gonna make sure I do whatever I gotta do to help her and to make sure she's okay. Because I will not let this happen. I will not let myself get down. I would pick myself up and I would pick my sister up or my aunt or my uncle or my grandfather. I would pick them up and we gonna push together as a family. We gonna
Yeah.
push together. I would not
Yeah.
let myself sit down and just allow something that was created, from the lack of knowledge that we know to take over. I just couldn't allow that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you
So
have
let me. It sounds to me like like in your particular family, you had some people that whether it was learned behavior or something else, but they were because it sounds like they were still positive through it all. So they knew, you know what, even though it may seem dark right now. Joy is gonna come in the morning. Like it's not trouble don't last always. Like it's not
right.
a forever thing. So a lot of that it seemed like you kind of you was built into you. You picked that up. But what would you say to somebody that maybe didn't have that type of background? What do they need to do to get to that place where they can have some kind of faith, some kind of hope? Because my channel is all about having only positive expectations. That don't mean things are always going to be cheery. They
True,
won't be.
true,
This is
true,
life. This
true.
is what it's like this. Sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. And sometimes you get to do the pendulum the whole way, for a while. But how do you get to a place when you don't have that background or you don't seem to have a support system, like you did to get that mindset of I'm not gonna stay here.
If you're able to recognize, I would tell someone, if you're able to recognize that you don't have that support system, you be that support system. You stand up strong. You believe deep down to yourself. You look deep down to yourself and you plant your feet in the ground and you stand up and say, I won't stand for this. I won't allow this to happen. You be that beacon light in your family. If you do it, even if you don't have that culture around you, but you be that person and you learn to accept that this is reality, but I want to accept this reality in my family. Every
Right,
time I come around, I'm gonna start speaking positivity. Prayer is one of the things that we all gonna need. You gotta first pray to the man up there to even help you get through this because we can't get through it alone and whatever.
that's
So him, family, and what you will start to see if you don't have that support system, that those around you will see you as being different, and they will try to, what this person doing, let's try, let's do that. Let's start inspiring each other. Let's start pushing each other. So when you don't have that, like I said, plant your feet in the ground, stand up for what you know that you want, that's right, what you
right,
really want out of your family. Stand up and say, hey, listen, I'm not gonna allow this. I love this person too. I love my sister too much. I'm gonna do this. I'm
right,
gonna do that. It's gonna be somebody in your family who might not do it. It's gonna be somebody in your family who don't know how to do it. Some people, they just don't have that mindset. But what you do is you stand up and you just start feeding yourself positive information, positive affirmation over and over. We now have media platforms, social media. We got
exactly,
YouTube. We got books. Start reading about it. Get more knowledge about it because I guarantee you, there's somebody in your family that doesn't know exactly what's going on and how to get past it. So
exactly,
if you're that person that can stand up and say, I'm not going to do this, hey, family, this is what's going on. This is how we're going to handle it. We're not going to do the norm where everybody, weep and cry, and it's no disrespect to anybody like that. We all have our differences with dealing with things, but at some point in time, we are gonna have to come together as a family and just push together. If we're not
Sure.
pushing together, you know, then what do we have?
Right.
Pray together. Everybody come together and pray. I pray every night. I ask God, that always one of the things I ask God is to teach me and show me the things that I ask for, you know. And I don't think we even do enough of that. And if we are doing it, are you serious about it? Or are you just doing it because, everybody else doing it? You got to have belief. Your belief,
Right.
faith got to be
And the other
strong.
part is, you can't just be asking like God is Santa Claus. It's like you got to go to Him, first because you believe, but then you got to go to Him all the time as if you are dependent upon Him and not just yourself and like your connections or what you've done in the past or what you've seen before or this is how it worked before. But I would also say that that word family we can in the day and time that we live in we can extend that the family belief because as a long time ago when I first started as a social worker I remember my supervisor telling me what family is something that you can make you can create yourself and
Yeah,
that is so true especially when you have come up in the foster care system or you've been in and out of the foster care system you might not be used to being around your biological brother or sister you might not even know if you're ever going to actually meet them face to face. But to gravitate to things like you're talking about, the positivity or, things that they can get off taking a class, because so many things are free. So many times you can take a class or you can get with a personal coach or a life coach or, a mindset coach or a happiness coach. If you notice, hey, I'm feeling down all the time, it's time to hook up with, see your girl Tracy Williams, because I got joy, right? And I've been through some stuff, and I'm not going to tell you something that I learned in a book, but I'm going to tell you some things that happened to me in life, and then hear your story. Because as we share our stories, there's healing even in that. Because I truly believe like a lot of times our answers are inside of us, and we just need somebody a lot of times just to bounce those ideas off of, or somebody that we can really share our heart with. Not the I'm okay, I'm doing fine, and then when you get home, you break down and you cry and you boo-hoo and you're not really sleeping well, you're not eating well, and things like that. But you're still, and then you also have to think of it like this for the person that maybe they went on to be with the Lord or they're not here on earth anymore. What would they want for you? You
yeah,
know, what would they want to see you do? And then get to the place of, why are you here in the first place? How come it was them and not you? Why are you still here? Because whatever that why is, and your why got to be a big why, whatever your why is, it will really push you and propel you to go forward no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter what you're thinking, no matter what other people think or say or do, no matter what your circumstance is, no matter what your situation is, you'll just push past the limitations that maybe other people have put on you or maybe even limitations that you put on yourself because of your own mindset. Like, I just can't do it no more. Oh
yeah.
my God. I mean, I just had a dear friend of mine pass not too long ago, maybe a month ago. And then, like, right before that, a few days spent was one of my favorite uncles. And I'm telling you, he was just like my father figure. And so I heard myself saying some stuff like that. And then I was like, hold on, wait a minute. That's not for me. That's not my portion. They lived their life. They did what they were supposed to do, and they input in me those things that they were supposed to for me. So what would they want to see me do? And then how are they going to feel when they see me actually living that thing out and manifesting that? Like I had to still think about I'm here, my purpose. What am I going to do? So getting to that point where, okay, so then who do I need to surround myself with so that I am hearing the things? Because our faith comes by what we hear. We build up that faith and that trust, and that's how we get that positivity where we can go share with somebody else. You know what? Maybe we should do like this, or maybe we should do that, or let's just try this, or let's just try that. Kind of like some things that I think that it sounds like you've done with your family to
Mm-hmm.
pull them together. And so we're going to hear a little bit about that as well, you guys, because I want you to leave with some practical ideas of what you can do as a family and what you can do as a single person if you're not with a family, if you don't feel like you have family around you. that you can trust, because sometimes we don't feel like we have support around us. But I know this one thing is for sure. When you, because I put it in the comments, when the storm comes, when the rain comes, when hell comes, when fire comes, all of that, if you get low and you get God, you're going to be all right. And what I mean by that really is when you begin to die to yourself, your feelings, your whatever it is, all the plans that you had. Oh, we was gonna do this together. We was gonna let me I had, man, me and my uncle, we was the whole family, like, cause he was one of the oldest ones left. So we was all gonna take him out of town, and he loves model cars. So we was gonna, go out of town together in the spring, but then COVID hit. And then, some months later, he's gone. And so I was like, well, you know what? I got to think about what would he want me to do. And then I remember, when I was a kid, we did those things together because he took me and my father took me to like the car show come here every year faithfully. Every year we go to the car show together. So I'm like, we really did it. And those were my plans. Those weren't God's plans. But when we think about getting low and getting God and just finding out what is his will for you, what is his will for them, then we take the focus off of us. So I love the fact that you made it important that it's not so much about you, but when you get out there and you help somebody else, then you take your mind off of yourself, and then you start to see life differently. And when you see it differently, when you think differently, then you get different outcomes because you have different behaviors. So I want you to tell us a little more about what did you do in particular in your family to bring about a change, to bring that resilience.
All right, so this is one. I mean, I can't take all the credit. I gotta give it to my mom too, because she helped me. She helped me put this together. But through the midst of all that, every year we had less celebrations. But I like that you touched on the fact that the coronavirus hit. Now, everybody took the coronavirus in different avenues of how it approached them, how they took it, and everything like that. I took the coronavirus as an opportunity to make sure my family came together and shared times together. Because see, with this time that was given to us, that's how I look at it. It was time that was given to us. A lot of us didn't have to go to work, and stuff like that. I still had to
Mm-hmm.
work. I had to work. But anyway, I we gathered on Saturdays, and we just that's what it was. It was a family get together. We respected our 6 feet distance. We wore our masks, but we gathered around, and it's now no one got nowhere to go. Like we all knew you can't go nowhere. You couldn't do nothing. You was either home or at work. That pretty much was the base of it. So why not? Since everybody just sitting around, let's all get around and let's just talk, especially in our community. Let's talk. Let's see how everyone's doing. So come to find out, I mean, a lot of you don't know, but I even had a basketball tournament at my house. Family came around, friends came
Okay.
around. I was like, where did this come from? I didn't expect that. But my son, he invited his friends, and their parents came over, and they had that, shooting hoops and everything. I was like, wow, what I seen coming for the corona, what I wanted to do with my family is actually coming together, you know. And then from that week, the next following week, we had like a game night, and then from that following week, we had a cook off, a bake off. I'm sorry, because my daughter loved to bake. We had a bake off, and then every week it just became like, oh, what are we doing next weekend? I just love to get out of the house. Oh, for instance, Greg, I didn't know you was that type of person. I didn't know you like to. Oh, and I'm telling my family, some of the members in my family, I didn't know you like to shoot hoops. Look how long I've been growing up and not knowing that one of my cousins like to shoot hoops, like to play basketball. You know, so that's the joyfulness. And within that, remember, we haven't forgot about our ones that left us. We still share the moments. And this might help out a lot of people. How we shared our moments, we bring back things that they would do and things they would say, and we would make jokes about it around each other and everything like that. So, like I was sharing with you, I'm gonna share this one real quick. My uncle, he's a year older than me, and this is my grandfather's son, and his sister and brother are the ones that passed. So my uncle told me, he said, you gonna let me borrow some money? So I was like, what? I say, first I need to check with Uncle Michael. Uncle Michael gonna let Brenda know. And then when Granny let Auntie Polly know, then she'll let me know if I'm able to allow you to borrow some money or not. So it was a funny joke amongst the family because they like, what? What did you come up with that? Like, it brought back those individuals that left us back into the room, but not in the sad moment, in a joyful moment. Why? Because
Wow.
you took out of the mindset that how you felt of them leaving, and you processed the fact of if it was here, it most likely would have went like that, and it was just so funny. And we share those moments. And my auntie Polly, she had this thing where she was a short lady, and she'd walk up to you and she'd just tap you on the forehead, and she'd be like, "But don't do that," And I do it to my kids. I walk up and I tell them, "Here come the auntie Polly move." Damn, and just tap them right on the forehead and stuff like that. And everybody just be looking like, boy, you crazy and stuff like that. And it's those moments, like, let's be serious, let's be for real. I let it be transparent. Those moments brought joy not only to me but my family. We shared an exciteful moment. We remembered the good times of what they was doing and who they were and how they built us up and where they came from. You know, my granddad, we would get a shirt made, and I got his slogan put on the back of the shirt, and his slogan was "How your hammer hanging." Um, we're not gonna touch too deep into that, but that was his little slogan on the back. And as the younger grandchildren, which is me at the time, we like joke with each other like that. And that was granddad's slogan. My granddad had got this huge Dodge Ram red pickup truck, and we would be just driving and we'll see a red truck, and it's like, boy, I remember when Granddad used to just whip that truck like he was 20-something years old. And we'll just all be like just joking and laughing. And that's the type of energy I bring to my family. And my mom too. Like, that's the type of energy we share amongst each other. This is, oh man, it's great. That's how I can really like express it. It's so much joy around it. It's more like we don't have time to reflect on just the loss of them. We use the time, and I like to use the time to just express, like, share your feelings. Like you said, we'll tell each other, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm straight, I'm okay," and then go back home and sob in a room. When you're around family, express to them how you feel. Let them know, because I'm that type of person where it's like, man, like, for instance, my granddad and everybody, just, like I said, just a couple of days. My uncle, which is his son, he gets down, and I'm there for him. I'm texting him. My mom texting like, "Hey, bro, don't worry about it. It's straight. Granddad in a better place." To say, he watching you every time you go to work. You clock in late. He watching you. Stuff like that is like, it
Right.
brings a smile to him. Like, oh man, hey, you right. I say, come on now. If Auntie Polly would say shit, slap you on the forehead, and then tell you, boy, you're supposed to be to work. If you can be that person in your family, you can find yourself trying to be that person. If there's somebody in your family, like, that's the one person you really want to get around if you ever feeling down and stuff like that, because they're gonna uplift you, you know.
Right.
And my sister, she's another one. I mean, she's so strong minded or whatever. It's like, I was like, Tuki, that's her nickname. She probably gonna kill me when she found out I said that. But it's like, Tuki, yeah, I didn't know what I was gonna do when I find out about you. And she'd be like, "Boy, your soft self." And it's like, you know what, you right, I was soft, but I'm here now, I'm strong. What we gonna do? This and that. So we just share that family joyfulness and the express, and you know, put on top of that, your morals and your values of what you believe in life and how you feel about life. That plays a big part in it. If you feel like life is a meaning, it has a deeper meaning than you just being here for yourself and being here for somebody else. You tend to use that joyfulness and you spread it. Like I
Right.
said, it's not selfishness. You're not a selfish person. It's not. It's how I look at it. With all this going around, it's not about me. It really isn't. It's about the people around me. How can I uplift them? How can I motivate them? And from my children to anybody around me. I believe if we all start to look at life and look at other individuals like that, we could
Mm-hmm.
actually be in a better position and a better place in this world. because we would be like, uh, so before I think about myself, let me think about what somebody else may need. Like I said, I fed the homeless for 3 years straight. And me and my cousin fed over 5,000 people. Now, we I didn't want me to jump off topic, but we it's just the point of that story, the moral of the story is the gratitude and the grace that we have for ourselves and other individuals,
Right,
to be willing to reach out, to extend the hand. So, back to the corona with my family, that's what I was doing. I was reaching out and bringing family in, bringing us together, sharing
yeah,
moments. So now we sitting at the table, we eating, we laughing, and we joking, and it's like those lives that's no longer with us, their energy and their environment, that culture that they've always been in with us, is still there. Like there's no loss. No, I'm not saying, hey granddad, come get something to eat. I'm not saying that. But
right,
at
right,
that time, you in that realm of just positivity, and it's like, oh man, I'm loving this, I'm enjoying this. If granddad was here, he'd be so shocked. Those are the things that you processing in your mind, not, man, I wish granddad was here. I wish my aunt was here. And that's true. You do. But let's try to think of it in another way. Let's think of it in another fashion. Let's honor the fact that they did what they're supposed to do here, and now they've been called home to finish up with the man
yeah.
above. So,
So let me ask you about this because you have a slogan about building our future through our future.
yes,
So
that's my
tell us a
thing.
little bit about that, and then I want to hear a little bit about like what's next for you.
Building our future through our future is a slogan that I came up with that's going to be for my nonprofit that I start. That's what's in the future for me. So when I tell people building our future through our future, is because we need to tap into our youth, which is our future. We need to tap into them in order to help change our future. You know what I'm saying? So when we start to implicate and put in place these morals and values and positivity and self-awareness, we can start to change something for later on down the line. You see, a person that's like myself in the 30s or 40s or 50s, we tend to kind of be already structured. It's not easy for us to change, have a shift in mindset. But I like to focus on elementary, middle school, and high school. I don't want to leave them out, but precisely the middle school, because middle school is that transformation period of where you're learning who you are, what you like to do for the vast majority of kids. Some may know it at a younger age, they might get a little understanding, and some may understand it in the, later on in high school. But middle school is where I like to tap into their minds and start feeding them what they need so they can be able to use it when they grow. So we want our future to be in a better place, and we have to start with who the people that's gonna make it a better place. So that's where building our future through our future comes into play. I mean,
Okay, and that's beautiful. I like that. No, so don't be on the 40s and the 50-year olds because I'm in my 50s and look, I am always ever, I believe that we should always be ever learning and ever changing because, like we used to learn a long time ago. We thought, once you hit a certain age or you hit a certain learning level, like that was it. But now we know about, building neurogenesis and things like that. So the more we keep learning, the more we keep growing and the better we become. And I don't even believe in, people say as you get older, your mind is the first thing to go or your memory is the first thing to go. That's not really true. Science really shows us that if we continue to learn and do those things, if we use our brain, it's just like exercising our muscles, our physical muscles, right? So if
yes,
we use them, we won't lose them. And so if you tell yourself over and over, my memory is improving every day and I'm learning
yes,
new stuff all the
yes,
time, let me tell you, that is not just a whole bunch of wash. That really works. And I had to use those things, actually because I was studying for some very hard tests, later in life, and so that worked for me. And it even works now because I used to say, I'm really good at remembering faces, but it's hard for me to remember a name. If that's you, Let me tell you, that was one of the biggest, fattest lies I could ever hear. And so when I began to really learn how to remember people's names and put them with their faces, it was the easiest thing ever. And so who wants to do business with somebody who can't remember who you are?
Right.
Because and especially for anybody deciding they want to work with you don't care nothing about what you know and what you've been through and where you're going and the best way to until they know that you care about them in particular and not as a group but as a person. If I know that Miss Tracy loved me and she got my back, then I'm gonna listen to her when she's talking out the side of her neck, as they would say,
Right. Right.
I would listen to her if she's acting crazy and taking us here and taking us there and doing all kind of stuff with her. Because look, they're coming back 20 years later saying, "I really miss you. I know you really love me. I know you did this for my good." It's like I really did, and I know, like if, like I had to like overplay it because that was the only way that you're gonna actually really get it. Because I felt like a lot of times I had to make up for all the nurturing and all the love that you missed out on that you didn't get. So I'm like, baby, I'm here. I'm going to give it to you whether you like it or not. Like, yes, I'm gonna be all up in your face and all up in your business because somebody needs to be in your business and
Yes.
let you know, look, I care about you and what happens to you, and I care about your future. Just because of the things that are going on now, they're not gonna be forever. Especially when you're talking about middle school and high school, we tend to think then, everything is gonna always be this way, or
Hmm.
you're always gonna be here. You're always gonna be able to change things and do things the way you want to, and then you make decisions based on what feels good. But I
Yeah.
learned, in high school, actually, I was a junior. I learned the things that make you feel good, or things that are feel good to you, are not always good for you. And so, sometimes it takes learning and doing those things about yourself and about others, where you find, okay, well, this is the best fit and this is the best place for me. So I like what you're doing. I commend you what you're doing with the youth and your energy that you have. I think they'll love that. And I'm glad to see that we have another black young man that is ready to groom and not only people out in the world, but his own family. Because,
Yes.
charity starts at home, baby, at home. Yes. So
And
that's
my
awesome.
my building the future, building our future through our future, that correlates with the nonprofit that I want to start. Because see, in my YouTube videos, like you said, learning should never stop. I encourage my viewers, my listeners, everybody, my family, read at least one book a month. That's all I'm asking. You got 30 days to read how many chapters? Read one book a month. I'm doing more than one book, but because I want to be on the same track with you guys, read one book a month. And don't always stick to the things that you know. This is how you learn to expand your mind. If you've been reading about, one source, let's try to read about understand something else different. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nobody, you shouldn't feel down about yourself about that. It's okay. But with my nonprofit, how that correlates with it together is because I want to be able to put our youth kids in the position where they can see um other things other than basketball, football, than norm. I want to be able to put them in. I want to be that financial backing for these kids to get them the opportunity to see what it is to be a doctor, to go inside the doctor's office, not just go there when it's time to visit. Learn what it is to be a doctor. Learn what it is to be a lawyer. I just learned about a statistician a couple of years ago. Learn what it is to be a statistician. I always make this an example. A lot of our kids see the fire truck come by with the lights on. It's exciting for them. Yeah, it is. But do our kids know what's really behind why that truck is going by with the lights on? Do they
Hmm.
know that in the ambulance truck that with them lights, it's somebody's life that needs to be saved? Not just
Hmm.
coming through because they want to get through the light and get through traffic. No, it's a meaning behind that. Just like with the fire truck, let's put these kids in positions where they can see other opportunities outside of their normal culture range. So
Right.
building our future through our future is tapping these kids into understanding and seeing it's a child out there who doesn't have who will not and probably may not ever be able to have the chance as a child to be able to experience something that they always wanted to. And I want to be the person to help that child get there. Because
Okay. So let me ask you this, Mr. Personal Growth Space. When do you plan on starting this not for profit? And you don't have to answer that now if you don't know, but I do want to put that out there as in somebody else may be watching this and saying, hey, I really want to do this. I really want to do that. Then you need somebody that's going to hold you accountable and say, okay, what date have you put on that? What month, what year have you put on that? Because as long as you have a dream, it's great. But if you don't put a goal next to it, if you don't put some kind of backing behind it, like I plan to do it by this date, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
you have to beat yourself up if you miss the date, but you do need to make yourself accountable to somebody else other than you. So I like that you're putting it out there and you're putting it out there in the atmosphere, but I want to encourage you to collaborate with somebody else who is maybe already doing that, because you don't have to like rewrite the plan. You don't have
Right.
to redo it. But it's when we are believing that we are better together, or saying that we're better, we really are better together. And so like you bring one part to the table and somebody else brings another part, so you can think of it as in, there's this one big puzzle. And so like there's a place over here that they're doing some of it, but they're missing this piece right here, and you might be that missing piece that needs to go in there to complete what needs to be done. So, with that being said, I know that we're out of time right now, you guys. So, I want to thank you for joining. We will have Mr. Gregory Smith back, but for something totally different, because there's more than one side to this coin, right? We're gonna flip it over and just kick it and have such a good time, you all. I promise you, right? It's gonna be all about relationships. Am I right?
Hey, you right. You right.
Yes. So look, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then come on, subscribe, be part of the YouTube family where we're inspiring hope. We're giving people the opportunity to have only positive expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations. It's different than just having positive thoughts. We know you can't have that all the time, but positive expectations. And if you're a person that's having trouble with that, then you need to see me. You can email me at Tracy with the I, Dr. I, baby. TracyInspires@gmail.com. Now, Mr. Greg, I want you to tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Uh, for one, my YouTube channel. That's where you can
Okay.
get in contact with me. Also, you can find me on Facebook at Gregory Smith. And next week, I believe I'll be getting started my Instagram. I was told I need to put together Instagram to help get more of the information out there. But so far, my YouTube and my Facebook channel is where you can get in contact with me with that right there.
Okay, I love that. Well, thank you again for joining us. You
Oh,
guys
thank
remember,
you.
hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell so it'll ring, ring, ring. She's on again and she's got another guest. And I'll talk to you all later. Peace out. Love you much.
Love y'all.
Great.